Hey, what's going on? It's Nick with the Capital Brew Podcast. We're halfway through a podcast. We're just going to continue rolling. I've got Chris from Warbler. I've got Drew and Laura from Frog Alley. And I've got the brainchild behind this whole Brewers Panel guy. Thank you guys for being here.
And if you're just tuning in, we're all doing a great job.
Yeah. The first part of this podcast was the best stuff we've ever done. So.
Yeah.
I'm never sitting at this table again.
No, it's this table. It's this corner.
We did it outside. It was fun.
Yeah. You picked the corner again.
I did. I just liked it. I liked the bench. I hate me.
Oh my gosh.
So I guess let's. I mean, do you guys have any questions for each other? I mean, do you ever?
We love this time of year. It's just like such a kind of August. Everybody's gone, and like traveling and doing all that stuff. So it's nice. Everybody's coming home. Holidays are coming around. It's beer weather's coming in and all that stuff. So it's like a nice resurgence. By the end of summer, you're kind of stretching and a little fatigued and all that stuff. And it's nice to come into this time of year. So we're excited for the rest of the year.
So you feel like that you're going to see a little bit of a lull going here forward?
No, now it starts to tick up. So like Oktoberfest until like New Year, it's rocking and rolling now. So we're filling tanks and kegs and kind of picking back up again.
For sure. We didn't actually do a tour of your setup here, but I mean, how different would it be? I mean, if you were to go into their and
two different worlds.
Yeah. I mean, they got a machine that smells the beer.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the purpose is for, other than it's supposed to smell like this, so we're doing something right.
Right.
I mean, as far as equipment, I mean, how much does that affect your creativity and your ability?
It changes things. I mean, but I think brewing is 90% science and another 90% art. I mean, it's you learn what equipment you have. Sort of every brew house, even if it's brand spanking new and totally perfect, has weird quirks.
Mm-hmm.
They all, and you could have the same exact equipment than you, and it would be completely, it would behave differently. So every system you have to, as a brewer, you get to know the system and the products and what your raw materials are, and you have to sort of sometimes make the equipment do stuff it's not designed to do. But
Donuts.
Donuts and the mash tun. He's gonna be so mad when I actually show up with like a lot of donuts.
You'd have to have a lot of
Whose donuts are you going to do?
I don't know yet.
Cider Belly? I mean, I know they closed the store, but they're still producing.
I don't know. Would Dave bring us donuts?
Dave will bring us donuts.
Dave from Duck Donuts would bring us donuts.
Oh yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
I mean, I assume it's the same direction. So like, when I was brewing 5 or 10 gallons, I would do anything. There was, zero risk, right? Like you screw up that batch, like no harm, no foul. What, maybe $150 you've lost. Then you get to, our level, my level, and it's like, all right, it's substantially more than that.
Yeah,
then you get to that level, and it's like, you can really screw some stuff up, or you can waste a lot of money down the drain. So I assume it's probably more of just like the fear factor and risk factor continues to grow as you get bigger and bigger, which in turn can probably stipend your ability to be more creative and things like that. But I assume you guys have a test system at this point.
We do
can
have
work off of that, which
we
helps.
have a 5 hectoliter, so like 4 1/4 barrels
Right.
that we can play with sometimes and stuff. And
so that's what you got to do.
yeah,
You
so
mitigate
it's-
the risk by having a
Yes, exactly.
having a
Not
test
making
bench.
tons and tons and tons of it. And you mitigate the risk by doing your research and talking to other brewers, and you try to make sure that as best you can, you have an idea of what the outcome will be, that you've sort of considered all the potential pitfalls, sort of like you guys, keeping slushy sours for a while and making sure that they're, good to go out into the market. Like you know the potential, the potential disaster, and you try to avoid that as much as possible. I mean, we're not perfect, but we try to be at least consciously brave, you know what I mean? And so you try to make good choices while you're trying to have fun and create a product that at the end of the day isn't so bizarre that people don't want to drink it, you know what I mean? So it's like,
I laugh, it made me think. So I had a half barrel system that we were going to keep. It was basically half barrel version of that, another Herm system. It's a really nice system.
So you could take a little bit from something you're already brewing and do.
Or we were going to do test batches and stuff,
Yeah.
and then you talk about like starting a business, owning a business, being a brewer and stuff. And by like the first 2 weeks in, I laughed and was like, I will never touch this thing ever again. There is zero chance I even have enough time to touch this thing ever again. And just remember like selling it, but laughing at like the naiveness behind the fact of like ever even considering the fact that I'd have the opportunity to use it again. And it's like, no, if we're gonna brew in our real system so we can make sure we actually have enough beer for people.
For sure. I like the idea that like if you were to brew something and you kind of hit this fork in the road, I can go in this direction, I can go in that direction. You would keep a smaller batch to be able to sit there and say, all right, I'm going to put some of it here and then continue on down this lane, but then I'm going to go back and I'm going to try that other thing. So maybe it's something I do down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that you guys do, or?
So we're actually doing that tomorrow. So we would be doing a 10-barrel brew, which we have to brew twice in our system. But half of it we're going to no boil, and then the other half we're going to boil and put in there, so we can, the scientific process behind it, we can do the comparison and take a look at all those things. So we're doing it a little bit that way tomorrow, which we'll change the IBUs and check the IBUs, the difference between it, like see what the actual boil did versus didn't do to the beer, which will be cool.
Have you tried this before, Chris?
What's that?
Split, take a little sample from a brew that you had going, tried it, and then decided that you really liked what you did, and that turned into something that you ended up using.
So piloting for us works essentially the same way, where you're going for a commercial level, and you're basing it on experience and knowledge of your materials and your in your system. We have the same tanks as Guy, and they will happily accommodate a half-size batch.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's something we're just doing on a small batch basis that we're keeping for the tap room, and we don't know if we're gonna want to keep a lot of, then we'll throw a half batch in if we have the production time. But the kind of opposite end of that is using a bigger batch and threading that down in smaller tanks, like dosing tanks. So you can break down like a 5-10 barrel batch into however many keg-sized batches of different things, which is going to be kind of our approach to holiday stouts this year. Is adjuncting kind of two mother threads into a number of very small tanks with adjuncts. That way you're limiting your inventory on any given thing, and you can take kind of big swings with different adjunct profiles. So we have a list. And a list of names that aren't going to work too, which is a lot of fun. Would you guys buy a beer called Moisture Monkey? I've been asking a lot of people, and I get the same kind of.
What's the consensus?
It's yes, but I don't know if they're screwing me.
What kind of beer is it?
Yeah, that probably matters too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like a banana bread kind of deal, right? Barrel aged, 13% stout.
I'm telling you, names are probably the hardest part of this whole thing. Is coming up with the names. Like
Absolutely.
there's just so many. It's so crazy.
Well, if you want Moisture Monkey, you're welcome to.
It's all yours. It's all yours.
One beer name that's never used ever.
Yeah, that's impossible.
Yeah.
I think every iteration's been used at least once.
Yeah.
I was at MySci on Friday for their After Dark brewology, and one of their the games that they were playing with the people that were there was it was like a sudden death match of I'm gonna give you a beer name and you have to tell me if it's a real beer name or a fake beer name. And so I listened to the first couple and I was like, God, these are awful. And then there were a couple that weren't beer names and I was like, shoot, should I write those down? Nobody's using that yet. I should probably grab it.
Yeah. I had a question for Chris, and I don't remember what it was.
Right Guard IPA.
Right guard IPA. There we go.
Take a while for the C&D to get to you.
No, yeah. Oh, because of the deodorant. I was thinking football.
Hey.
There you go.
No, just really, it's deodorant, right? That's,
Yeah, regular.
That's something like my grandfather used to use.
It depends how you smell it, right? Like that would matter.
Yeah. So I guess everybody started off as a home brewer first, correct? No, you just went right to school. Just said, I'm going to go to school for something.
I said, I'm going to take a class. I hate my job. Oh, look, beer. And here I am.
I hate my job. I like beer. Let's go. Okay. So you skipped. Did you start as a home brewer, or did you go right to?
I homebrewed in college, and then my
do
first
this.
job out of college was at a brewery, and I was just like a tank monkey for a couple of years. It's probably where that stout name came from.
Brother,
And
right?
my brother got
that's
me
a better name.
Beer
Yeah,
kid.
I like
Tank monkey. Go with that one. Go with tank monkey.
Doesn't sound problematic at all.
Yeah, there's just certain words just always stay away.
Anyway, how you guys doing?
So I guess the question is, since you two guys started off as home brewers, and you just started off as an enjoyer of beer, and Drew, what would you start off as?
I started off home brewing and then got into commercial. Yeah.
So, as starting off from home brewers and starting off as a connoisseur, and then decided to go pro, is it still everything you thought it would be? Has there been something to, like? Let me preface it by saying, I love music, and I love live. I used to love live performances, and I became a photographer and a videographer, and I ended up going to more concerts than any human being should ever go to in their lifetime. And
How's your hearing?
Yeah, I was smart. I used the headphones. Like there's a very few music groups that I'll ever go and watch now, and it's like Rage Against the Machine. Tribe Called Life Could Come Back from the Dead. I would go see Tribe Called Quest. The band Dispatch, if they can get Peter Francis back. Even without Peter Francis, I'll go and see them. So like there are certain groups I'll go see, but my point is that I had too much of a good thing, and it went bad for me. Is that the same when you guys decided to kind of go pro, or?
No. Well, so what happens? The farther along you get, at least my experience starting kind of, wiping tanks down and working up to owning my own place, is you miss the
Free time.
production, and when you get the chance to get back in, that's a really, really rewarding experience. So I'm never far from the production space. I don't get out a lot, but so I'm still there. My main brewer Josh now is doing a great job. Kind of learning the system, but I'm having a hard time stepping away. I'll admit, because after that it's just bean counting and sharpening the pencil, and that was something that I saw the first
growing your
brewery
business.
owner, and that's right.
Yeah. Grow your business.
Plant those beans.
Yes.
See what happens. So that was something I saw my first boss in the industry struggle with, and I said, yeah, I'll never be that guy who's mad about taxes. Well, let me tell you, 21-year-old Chris was an idealistic guy. But no, it's something that you never get tired of trying a beer that really makes you happy, and it's so much fun to find that again, because you could feel a little jaded sometimes trying stuff that kind of falls short of your expectations, but then when you get that one that hits, that's like Presidente, then that, man, yeah, really.
What was the last brewery you went to that wasn't your own?
Oh, I was just up in Portland, so
So you got a Wall and Pack?
Oh, Wall and Paw Pack. Yeah, that dude's their head brewer is local. I forgot, it's like Clifton Park or Boston
Okay.
Spa or something like that. But they're down in Northeast PA.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Great stuff. Last brewery I went to, we did kind of the Portland thing. So I guess technically the last one on the tour was Mast Landing, which we had a great time at. Yeah, but hey, if you have a brewery with a window in it where you can get bratwurst out of, like, that's you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Amazing. What about you, Drew? What was the last brewery you went to?
Oh gosh, I don't go anywhere without hitting a brewery, it seems like. So we were just up in Rhode Island. We had a few breweries in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. So beer tourism, I think, is going to continue to grow. We get people Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to say 10% of our clientele is people who are coming through town.
Which brewery did you visit that kind of surprised you? That kind of was like, wow, this is actually pretty neat.
So the type of brewery that I would like to open up if I did it again would be somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I love Westkill. I love going Westkill. I love going up to Wayward Lane. So that's the type of places that I enjoy going to. A little bit different than what we have.
Does this brewery count, the one we're sitting in? Because this is the most recent one I've been to that I didn't work at. I've been relatively local lately, so I haven't gone terribly far.
That's fine.
But I like to go over to 7 Point and harass Brian periodically, and Great Flats is always fun.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's everybody's got a list and places you want to go, and part of the trick is, like, as someone who's in the industry, you kind of want to go when their brewer is there, which is unfortunately the same time that you were supposed to be doing your own brewing. But like, I love to be able to. I love to sit in the tap room and just get sort of like the user experience and be like, love that, and wouldn't have done that, or this is really cool. We could riff on this or something. But I love to be able to talk to the brewer, like whoever's doing the production, like. And if there's something that you get that's particularly cool or interesting or just really exceptional, like, I want to pick your brain a little bit. I haven't been doing this all that long, so this is not at all what I went to originally went to college for. Like, I had a very different vision of what life would be, but this was definitely not a wrong turn. Like, this was a good choice.
So you're happy when you went pro, and you didn't lose the love of
No, Drew will probably laugh when I say this, but I'm in the 3 years I've been doing this, like, I've never had 2 days the same, which is sometimes unfortunate because, like, you have a plan when you come in the morning. That's not often what happens, but
that's any job.
Brewing goes sideways quickly a lot of the time, and in sort of catastrophic ways. But it has, I like to think, loosened me up a little bit. It's made me sort of a little bit less of a sort of rigid perfectionist, because at a certain point things are just a little out of your control. But yeah, I love going out and seeing what other people are doing, and Westkill is a cool brewery. Yeah. You're 1,000% convinced that you were completely lost on your way, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, there it is. Okay, cool. They make great beer, but yeah, they're in the middle of nowhere. So
I was saying, like, Hill Farmstead, when you get there, you might even get beer. Lines long, and you have to go up this mountain, and you better have an off-road vehicle.
Oh yeah, right. Do you have 4-wheel drive? If so, only
And then when you get there, you wait in line, and then at some point they're just going to be like,
sorry, no more beer. Yeah.
There's plenty of places around here that's like that too. So, guy, going pro, has that really affected your approach to brewing?
I was fortunate enough to kind of a serial hobbyist. So my first hobby, which was woodworking, I turned into a business. So, and that one definitely took the love out of it. That's 100,000 square feet. I was just telling you, that's 100 employees. That's the real deal gig over there. And
you're no longer doing.
Yeah, no, I haven't touched a tool in a really long time.
Well, if you're bored, I got a lot of stuff around my house.
I would be so rusty at this point. And I used to love doing it, but it's such a different thing. But fortunately enough, having that experience, I knew what I was getting into when I took it out of the basement and brought it into this. And I think a lot of people think that they're just going to brew all day long and get to do that. But no, there's the business and the taxes and the accounting, and then the front of the house and the customers and all the staffing and everything else that goes into a business, right? So I was very, very fortunate enough to kind of have that experience, that background. So knew what I was getting into. But I will tell you, when I'm not at this brewery, very rarely am I pumped to go to another brewery. Like, I want to go do other things other than breweries when I'm there. So that part of it's changed probably a little bit for me. Whereas we'd plan weekends to go to breweries and things like that, where
sure.
our weekend planning is very different these days.
I am blessed to have my fiance. She's phenomenal. We do not plan a trip. She plans all our trips, but she also works in breweries. Like she'll be like, all right, so at this time we leave, we go here, we're gonna be in Shelburne at this point. We're gonna hit up Zero Gravity, then we're gonna hit up Foam, and then we're going over to. Speaking of a brewery that actually surprised me recently, I wasn't really expecting a lot. The Von Trapp Brewery in Vermont.
Oh, yeah.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
that's a cool place.
Like, I thought it was kind of like a gimmick for the Von Trapp. They're known for the music and sound of music. And the food was actually really good too. I don't even like German food, and that was delicious. But with that being said, you said you don't get to go to breweries, then you're not looking to go to breweries. But what was the last brewery you went to?
Stone, Southern California. Yeah.
That's not Arrogant Bastard, right?
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
Why was I thinking they were in Colorado?
No, they're in SoCal.
Before you leave, is there anything that you want to push or say?
Buy Warbler beer.
Yes.
President.
Oh yeah, check us out. Presidente. Drink local. Keep drinking local. Supporting your local breweries. We're clearly in it for the love. Wish I had more time to just chat with you guys like off mic, but let's set that up for some time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we can record the other half of this podcast.
It takes like a business thing like this. Not that this is super business. Not that this feels businessy, but it takes something like this to kind of get us all together. So we
And talk
really
shop, I
appreciate
think.
it.
Yeah.
So thanks, Nick.
Thank Guy came up with a great idea, and I loved it. So
Yeah, thanks, Guy, and thanks for the excellent alt beer too. That was what I was sipping on while I was drinking. So yeah, check that out here at Mixed Breed, and I'll talk to you guys at the tap room.
Later, man.
yeah, or
Cheers,
on the next
guys.
podcast. All right, Chris, thanks for coming. So Stone, what was that? Was that like? Were they never in California? Or
Yeah.
Were they never in Colorado?
No, they're always from. See you, Chris. They're always from Southern California.
Yeah.
But they're so big now. They've got 4 or 5 different locations. That one was like one of the original kind of like taproom locations. They did have a small brew house in there, kind of like ours, where they do some of the beers there. But then they have a large manufacturing facility that they're doing a bunch of it out of. But it was really beautiful, and the business side of it, and looking at it and everything. Place was great, food was great outdoor venue, really cool place for people to go to. But their swag and like the stuff that they had there was off the charts. It was super cool.
For sure, it's definitely one of those breweries. I mean, luckily, like us and talking about Vermont, we have the Alchemist is a must. It's just something you have to make that. You have to have a heady topper right out of their cask.
Yeah, they're an OG for sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's you're into craft beer. Like I remember when I first started brewing, all craft beer came from
Somewhere else.
Oh yeah, like you were in Belgium, you were in Germany, you were somewhere there, and there was like 3 breweries that you could even get like good craft beer in the United States before the explosion happened. So it's they were one of the first ones. Like Stone was Arrogant Bastard was one of those first like craft beers that you could get.
St. Arnold's in Houston, I think, is got to be a place for any beer lover to go to.
Yeah.
Who makes Piney the Elder?
No.
Oh man, that's
It's contrasting.
It's like a Tuesday, right? Like,
I'm forgetting the name of it. That's out in California too.
Yeah.
somebody Google it.
Yeah, I don't know my cell phone. Dogfish was another big one back
Dogfish,
then.
Yeah.
Sierra Nevada.
Magic Hat.
Yeah.
Magic Hat was gone.
Oh, yeah.
They were good.
All right. Piney the Elder.
And then everything else was overseas.
Pliny,
Corsadonk and all those guys. All the Belgian beers were the jam back in the day.
Accidentally looked up the actual person.
Oops.
Yeah, Google's tricky.
Yeah, I just clicked on the first thing. All right, here we go. We've got from Russian River.
Russian River.
Oh,
yeah.
whoops.
But I mean, that's that's a.
I never would have got it.
No, wasn't anywhere
Have you
near
heard
the
of
front
it
of my
before?
brain.
Oh, have you not? Well, next time you're in California, you got to get it.
I'm
You
gonna
gotta-
have to do that.
You got to buy lots of it. You got to bring it back here. You can't get it.
And it tastes so different
Yeah.
when it's fresh. Oh, yeah.
That's also the really cool thing about craft beers. it's hard to transport, so it helps the local market be able to stay there. The big guys can't come in and keep consuming back. It's the only industry where the top businesses aren't continuing to eat up the smaller portions of it to keep the major market share of the business.
They try.
They try and they can't. They physically can't keep up the demand. So it's the only business that actually has a decreasing market share for like the top 3 businesses, which I've always found super cool.
And I mean, customers are extremely loyal.
Very protective.
As the, they want to support the smaller business. As, there's some people who think that we are too big.
Right.
And so, I mean, not that we're, we're doing 5,000 barrels this year, but that's maybe big relatively, but again, it's the consumer is really dogged about supporting the local community, and that's worked out great for everybody.
That's super cool. That's one thing I was like very surprised about when we opened this. I didn't realize how many regulars we'd have here, and we really do. I mean, there are people that are here every single day we're open, and it's one of the coolest things. That was just like an awesome surprise for us. But you walk in, you'll see 5 or 6 people, and they're like, "Hey, what's up, man?" You're like, "This is cool. This is like Cheers here. Like it's hysterical."
Yeah.
That's great.
Mike Moak, if you're out there, good to see you.
Yeah, I mean, even like you guys have got. There's times where I go there, I see the same people all the time, and it was funny. Like with Dave, don't get me wrong, the food at 20 North is phenomenal, but Dave's personality behind that bar is really what I think a lot of people kept coming back.
Sure.
I would walk in there, and I'd only like the first couple times I talked to him. He was over at Repsis, and I would talk to him there. And then one day I walked in at 20 when he opened up 20. As soon as I walked in the door, "Hey, Nick Lee!" And then it just like because he was so nice and like remembered my name.
Yeah.
I would go out of my way to talk to him and say hello. And then we started doing, like I said, the shot on my birthday became a tradition. So I mean, your local bars, it's not just your beer, but it's also your staff too.
Yep.
So it's something to say about you.
Yeah.
In the people that you hire. So I think that like I said, it's amazing that the table that all you guys sit at is not only big enough, but it's ample, and you share customers, and you still have people enjoying all of it all at once, like experiencing the Capital District's breweries.
Well, I think as there are more breweries local, that it's helping to float. All the boats are rising on that tide, and maybe somebody doesn't come to your location today and they go to somebody else, but they do come back, and there's the transfer between the different locations, and again, it's seeking out fresh beer and new beers, everything that we've been talking about, and again, it's the momentum is still there and growing.
What direction do you see the craft beer industry in the next 10 years?
I don't know. I've been wrong so many times with that. I've been doing, you've seen, sort of when I got into beer, if it wasn't golden color, it was something different. So, I mean, you had your ambers, and then it went to, we're going to focus on some hops, and then it went to where you want to produce a 10% beer, and then we want to produce a 100 BU beer, and so the pendulum keeps swinging. The experimentation that a lot of people are doing is just that's what's going to drive the industry. We were talking about seltzers earlier. I think there's a lot that can be done with seltzers.
Do you see a brewery that only produces seltzers and kind of makes that a niche of their own and being able to survive?
I've thought about it. I was like, man, we should just make seltzers.
They are fast and they are
so fast.
easy, and
they're fast, they're easy, just
a lot of variety.
Keep them singing. You can go crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, we should just turn it into a seltzer bar.
Yeah.
That'll be the offshoot.
Yeah, right.
Then you get, what do you get? You get like ginger beer seltzers, or like, you can't do a cream ale, but you can do like I don't know, like a sour seltzer or something.
Yeah, I mean, you go
slushy
crazy.
seltzer. I mean, yeah.
I will say New England IPAs have definitely stuck around a lot longer than I anticipated.
A lot longer
they would.
than a lot of people.
Everybody thought that was going to be a super fad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I am.
they're. I think everybody. It's funny because traditional beer making, the clearer the beer, the better the beer, right? And obviously, it's the complete opposite of that. So I think people that brew, their first impression of it is that it's very easy to brew, and then they try to brew one, and they're like, oh wow, this is terrible. Like it's actually a lot harder to brew than you think it is. And so I think that's what keeps people coming back is they realize like it's actually very difficult to brew a really good New England IPA.
Yeah. Even filtered, like they even have filtered pale ales and stuff. They kind of like died down a little bit. Obviously, the New England IPAs still stayed.
They're staples.
True.
Pilsners came back around early this year and are definitely like making a resurgence. I love Pilsners too. They just take forever to make.
And there's less time behind.
Oh yeah.
You gotta be very on point. Yeah. Same with lagers. I love a good lager. Matter of fact, when I was in Ireland, I was trying to find a good like an English like bitter. Couldn't find one.
Yeah.
They said you have to go to like a store like a
ESB.
buy one.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of lagers. I enjoyed and they actually kind of had a little bit of a craft scene. But then again, a lot of the craft beer that was over there was done by Guinness under a different label, like 13 Gate or something like that. And then there was Rock, and I think that was also owned by Guinness. So.
Well, Conor McGregor just came out with a Guinness style stout.
Well, he had a stout, and he also had a lager. This lager was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my favorite places when I was in Dublin was Conor McGregor's bar, the Black Forge Inn.
Yeah.
Their chicken over there is weird. I mean, ours is pumped up with so many steroids and stuff. I thought I was eating pigeon, but it was their wings were disgusting. But Conor McGregor's bar had a smoked chicken and bacon thing, and it was so good. I got a steak over there too. If you go to Dublin, you got to go to Conor McGregor's bar. I'm not a big stout guy.
Yeah.
But after going to Guinness, I did have a newfound respect for it, and I gotta open my palate to that.
Yeah.
Because I think that I've been denying myself some pretty good beer. But you gotta go over there. You gotta try Conor McGregor's bar. And that's another thing I noticed. Like here, like a steak would be like $75, $90. It's like 35 tops, $50 there.
Wow.
And that's in euro, which is $1.10 to our dollar.
Right.
It's still a lot cheaper. So. I'm sorry, I don't mean to go on.
That's good enough. I love steak.
And they love to swear. So
Fantastic.
I was at my waiter, and it's kind of it's not 677 prime, but it's not I don't know, it's not
Outback.
the Partridge Pub. Yeah, it's not the Outback. But,
Outback Steakhouse.
So not bashing the Partridge Pub. It's just it's upscale.
Right.
There. It's beautiful woodworking. It's a beautiful place. But my waiter is sitting there, and he's like, I was like, I'll take the special. And the special was like a ribeye or whatever. He's like, oh, very good. He's like, the T-bone. I was like, no, the ribeye. He's like, oh, for fuck's sake. And then he looks at me and he realizes he just swore. And he's like, oh, fuck. Good.
I've heard it before.
I think America. Well, I think Southern. I mean, like and somebody from the South who goes there and they hear that how much they swear.
Oh yeah,
might
they're
be,
like super
clutching their
offended.
peels,
Yeah.
But here we're like, nah, dude.
Yeah, if you don't punctuate a sentence that way,
Yeah.
are you
You're
even
not-
speaking?
yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
So yeah, I guess what's in the future for Frog Alley? What do we got going on, guys?
Oh, we have a lot going on. So, as we talked about a little bit earlier, we're looking to get the distillery up and running. A little.
Tester.
All right, you're always
Call
welcome.
you. Yep.
I mean, basically, when you brew your first or still your first whiskey, it's going to take 3 years before it actually hits a bottle.
At
right?
least, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you got a lot of time invested in that. So,
Do you have any in barrels or?
we don't, but I mean, it takes time to get your, when you start doing the darker spirits, it's all about the aging and the blending. So we're looking to get the distillery up and running a little bit more. We just hired another brewer, so that's going to give Laura some chance to do donut beers and whatever else she wants to dream up. So we focus a lot on our distribution. It's a large part of our business, so it's a little bit harder for us to do some of the crazier stuff on big batches. So it'll give Laura some more chances to work on some smaller batches and again push the envelope.
Is that like the plan? To have the new brewer kind of do the mainstays, cut their teeth, and then you do the future stuff that you're looking at to do down the road?
I mean, I think we'll probably end up splitting a lot of it, but if every drop of liquid coming out of the building I didn't create, that would sure help.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I mean, you see that small system like sort of sitting off to the side, and you're like, I see you, like I'll get to you, I swear, like I've got some stupid ideas I can't wait to try.
Are you guys going to do gin?
When's your wedding?
Hopefully.
The June 29th.
What kind of beer you like?
I appreciate that.
Steak and
I like.
ESBs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to, like I said, I'm trying to get into some of those darker beers, but I like your Vienna lager. I do like Pilsners. I would like to try a good English bitter, but I know that you'd have to make at least 7 kegs or whatever. So obviously I'm ready to wait for that one. But I want to try some. I want to try some of your gin. I'm a big fan of gin.
Yeah.
Here we go. 3. Bill, they watching the front door.
yeah, I've seen a couple people sort of slow pass.
Yeah.
They're like, why are they on microphones?
So, Guy, how do you split up your mainstays and your new beers, your future beers?
Yeah, so I mean, our brown ale, our cream ale, we kind of keep it certain types of beers on there. So we'll always have some type of brown ale on. We'll always have a lighter beer like a cream ale or a pilsner or something of that nature on, and then we rotate around in our IPAs and our stouts and those things. I think on the smaller craft side, obviously we have our Endos and our Glovers and our Boomskis, which are staples of ours that people know for as being us or from us. But at the same time, it's very easy to kind of burn people out with them. So we like to constantly keep the door revolving and keep it moving around and stuff. But we haven't had Endo, probably 3 or 4 months out now, and we're going to brew that within the next couple of days here. So that'll be back out, and people will miss it, and they're like, "Oh, sweet, Endo's back." So it kind of from a business perspective, that's what kind of keeps the people coming through the door.
You want to build that anticipation. If they get it all the time, like you said, they kind of become
FOMO.
into it. Yeah.
Fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you gotta let that anticipation fill until it starts to overflow, and then you can go ahead
and then you do it. Yeah. But I mean, that's if you look at the business models of a lot of the really successful breweries in the area. I mean, they're absolutely manufacturing their own demand.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was a big thing with
A place in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing all right.
Yeah, they're doing. Yeah, they do really good.
Yeah, there's what brewery am I thinking of? You would have to show up and. I mean, Hetty Topper, Alchemist was kind of that way.
Treehouse is totally.
Treehouse,
Yeah.
yeah. And like I said, Hill Farmstead, like you can wait in line, you might not get a beer.
Yeah, and I mean, you obviously have to have a good product, and then you kind of create a bit of the demand. It's a nice recipe,
Yeah.
for sure.
So what's in the future for Mixed Breed?
So we have Furious left on our lease here. This was kind of proof of concept for us. Gildan didn't have a brewery, which we had kind of gotten tired of complaining about Gildan not have a brewery. We kind of did something about it. So we did that, wanted to get proof of concept, and honestly figure out like what we wanted to be as a brewery. Did we want to stay super small and kind of crafty, figure those things out? We love throwing parties. We love having parties. We were just talking about it. Oktoberfest is like a really, really great party for us. We're able to get close to 2,000 people to fill up a parking lot in the middle of nowhere. So
Sure.
we really like to do those things. Obviously, we like the craft beer aspect of it. We like distribution, but we like to self-distribute. We don't like to necessarily work with any distributors and do that. So we're kind of looking to get somewhere, not in the middle of nowhere, but definitely has a bit more land to it, so we can have a venue, throw bigger parties, have that outdoor space, and kind of definitely get a bigger brew system so we can get some more volume into it and kind of go down that route. So hopefully in the next couple of years here, that's what we're shooting for. Yeah.
Well, God forbid if I ever work on wife number 2, maybe I can.
There you go. Yeah.
Just kidding, Jess.
JK.
Love you very much.
JK.
Greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Nice save.
Maybe we redo our vows.
Right, exactly.
There you go.
So let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for coming out and doing it. Hopefully you had fun, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
spectacular.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Make sure you guys check out obviously Frog Alley on their social media, and make sure you check out Guy and Mixed Breed. also on their social media. Follow them. Learn about the next big party. Learn about the next big beer. And we'll see you guys in the future.
Don't forget Chris.
Oh, yeah, Chris from Warbler.
All right, first I gotta stop this.